laughable. Joining me now, Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio, who has worked closely with lots of Democrats who were on stage last night and who also happens to be, at least as far as we know, an undecided voter. Senator, as an undecided voter, as someone who is as yet uncommitted publicly, you're a focus group of one. You happen to be a U.S. Senator. What was your impression of last night?
Well, I'm decided in the sense that I'm voting for the Democrat for president. I know that's not a major news break, but a couple of observations. First, my wife Connie and I were sitting there and watching the debate last night. We both watched the two Republican debates, and the contrast was just incredible between our debate and their two debates in terms of substance, in terms of informational, in terms of the candidates' respect for the voters and for each other, all of that. And the other thing that I think is what you just said that I think is so important, Chris, and that is clearly this party is the party of the little guy and the little woman. I mean, this is a party now, clearly that's where I've wanted it to be for all my political life, a party that fights for progressive values, a party that fights for fair trade, a party that looks to raise the minimum wage significantly, not just $1 or $2 or $3, a party that's going to stand up to Wall Street, all the things that the Democratic Party should be, clearly the party is. And I think you could look at every candidate. All of them were emphatically saying that last night.
You know, I can't help but think about, you know, the years of sort of 1992 and then particularly also after 2004. And in both those cases, in the world of people that wrote about the Democratic Party, analysts, journalists, pundits, there was this sense of, if you want to be elected to high office as a Democrat, you got to show that you're willing to stick it to the left. In fact, you got to show people that you hate the left as much as the Republicans do. You got to go out of your way to have policies where you say, I'm not like them, I'm here for you, and I'm not George McGovern, basically. What has changed in your mind, having watched this in a long career as a progressive in politics? What's changed?
Yeah, well, some of us have run campaigns. I've run 2 campaigns for the Senate where I mean, in the end, it's whose side are you on? And I think that party leaders and party activists have really driven this debate. It's the Sanders campaign partly, but it's just party activists realize where we've been and where we're going, and they realize how far right the Republican Party's moved. Earlier today, I was at the University of Dayton speaking to the political science class taught by the former governor of Ohio, Bob Taft, who has become a friend of mine. He defeated me for an election. My only loss in my career some 20-plus years ago. But what I talked about his grandfather a little bit. His grandfather was Mr. Republican, Senator Bob Taft, who stood on principle, but was clearly the sort of the leading conservative of his time in the mid-20th century. But Taft didn't have this "I hate government." Taft actually believed in how a role of government in housing and some other things where government did it best. But the Republican Party now is so far right, and I think Democrats realize they don't have to follow them to the right. We can stand for something. In this race, it's not going to be a referendum in the general election on Hillary Clinton or whoever the nominee is. It's going to be a contrast between us and them, and that contrast is so clear on Wall Street, on foreign intervention in the Middle East, on minimum wage, on trade issues. The contrast between the two parties is so clear and so sharp. That's why we're going to win this election, because clearly the public's with us. We don't need to compromise our progressive values and our progressive stances, because that's clearly not just the mainstream of the Democratic Party, it's the mainstream of this country, no doubt.
All right, Senator Sherrod Brown, thanks for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Always. Thanks, Chris.